Hello and welcome to the Nicole Mason Show, the show where we bring to you trailblazing women, women who are movers and shakers in their respective industries and vocations, women who have turned trials into triumphs, women who have success strategies to share, and more importantly, women who have bridged the gap between the past and their promise in life. And today I am so excited to have with me one of my mentors, my sister friends, just a woman that has poured and imparted into my life and into my heart in the person of Dr. Patricia Ross. And I want to read just a little bit of her extensive bio. She has done so many things, but let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Ross. She's a native Washingtonian who has a proven track record of empowering people from all walks of life. Dr. Ross is an expert in the field of post-traumatic growth and is committed to raising awareness that growth can emerge in the aftermath of dealing with trauma. Dr. Ross has conducted extensive research on post-traumatic growth and is committed to teaching people how to restore belief systems that have been shattered by trauma. A survivor of the sudden death of two biological children and surviving numerous other traumatic events, Dr. Ross has gained momentum and resilience. Dr. Ross is an optimistic person who believes that resilience drives her optimistic outlook. She is an ordained minister at Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church, where she has served for over 35 years under the leadership of Drs. Alfred and Susie Owens. Dr. Ross is a powerful, life-changing, motivational speaker and preacher, I might add. She is a faculty member at the Calvary Bible Institute. She has a master's in human services and a doctoral degree in education and counseling and psychology. Over the years, Dr. Ross has ministered to thousands of people at churches, retreats, and conferences. She is the founder and CEO of Elegant Creations, where she offers custom-made baskets and floral arrangements. She has been married to David A. Ross for over 44 years and the mother of 5 adult children. And the list goes on, and we're going to talk about some more of her work. But let me introduce so you can hear directly from this powerful woman of God, Dr. Patricia Ross. Welcome to the Nicole Mason Show.
Well, good morning, Dr. Mason. It is certainly a pleasure and an honor to be invited to share with you. Anytime I can share with you, it's certainly an honor and a blessing to me. So thank you for allowing me to come and to share a little bit about my story.
Amen. So let's just jump right in because you're doing some amazing work as it relates to women. You started a foundation in the honor of your daughter, and we're going to talk about that and your ministry and your outreach and all of the different things that you've done, creating your baskets primarily to pastors and executives and, really supporting them, and how you open that space up during the holiday season so that other people can also purchase your creative baskets. But tell me and the audience a little bit about who Dr. Patricia Ross is.
Dr. Patricia Ross is a survivor. I am very resilient due to, I think, my upbringing. I am a woman of God, so I do feel that my steps have been divinely ordered by God, in spite of the fact that I have experienced trauma. I probably could be the poster child for dealing with traumatic situations from childhood, growing up in poverty, faced numerous incidents of, sexual abuse and, verbal abuse and just many other things. I believe that God ordained or allowed, just to position me for the work that I do. So my passion for empowering individuals from all walks of life, particularly women, is because I believe in restoration. I believe that regardless of where you come from or what you've had to deal with in the course of your life, that glory can come out of that. And I believe that, that this is not only a personal determination to impart women, but also a mandate from God, to be able to speak life into women, because I believe that many women are, stuck in the past and, and just stuck on the things that they've endured. But I believe, and I know personally from personal experience, that greatness can come out of dealing with traumatic situations.
Yeah, and that's powerful. And I want to back up just a moment, because somebody listening may say, you said that God allowed these things to happen. Put some framework around that, particularly as it relates to, what you believe about God, so that people will understand exactly, what your vantage point is as it relates to that.
Well, I believe that, I wasn't always walking with the Lord. Of course, we were all born into sin, and so for a great deal of my life, well into my adulthood, I lived a life of sin. And because of the things that I endured, had it not been for the Lord looking out for me, I could have lost my mind. And I didn't know at the time that God was watching over me, while I was enduring those trials and tribulations. But, I can think of a particular time in my life when I was, dealing with abuse and, just an array of different issues that I sought help through psychiatrists. And the psychiatrist wanted to, he actually prescribed all types of medications, pills to get up, pills to go to sleep, pills to function through the day. And even in my sinful state, not knowing God, God gave me the presence of mind to not to take all those medications, because I could have easily been, strung out on drugs. And when I think about the things, I sit back sometimes and I think about life and how I survived those things. I can only attribute my survival to a divine power that I did not know at the time. And I believe that, many of us, have encountered traumatic situations that should have killed us, that we should have been strung out on drugs, we should be prostitutes in the street. But it's nobody but the grace of God, in my opinion, and in my walk with the Lord, to now know that it was a divine power, because out of the trauma, God knew that He was going to bring greatness out, that He was going to use me for ministry. When I was dealing with low self-esteem, God was keeping me and God was empowering me. And I think I feel like I had to go through all of those things to be able to stand and be transparent. And, I'm a very transparent person, because I feel that God didn't allow me to go through all those things for nothing. And so I believe that my walk through the trauma and the trials and the tribulations, God used that. And that's what I mean when I say that God allowed it, because I believe that those things were necessary for me to be able to be a witness that, God will keep you, and that you can turn those trials and tribulations into triumphs, and you can turn those valleys, into victories. And, and so I talk from a personal experience, first, because I've been there. I've lived that shattered life. I've lived that broken life. I've gone through the low self-esteem. I felt forsaken. I felt forgotten. I felt like giving up. I felt like throwing in the towel. I felt suicidal at times. And only a God that I serve today has kept my mind intact and kept my heart intact, and ordered my steps in such a way that now He built such a resilience inside of me and a strength inside of me, that I am determined to reach back and to reach forward and pull other women out of devastating situations. And I think, that God has positioned me for this season in my life, particularly as it relates to post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is basically bringing bringing greatness out of where you've come from. I've lost 2 children, as Dr. Nicole said, both very suddenly. And while I was dealing with the death of my only biological daughter, I was in my doctoral program. And, I went to school to try to quit. And my professor would not allow me to quit. And so when I did my dissertation, I did it on post-traumatic growth, because that was the only thing befitting to explain what I was going through. And so, and when you talk about post-traumatic growth, although the situation was devastating, I began to realize I'm not the same person. I have a new awareness. I have a new appreciation for life. I have a new determination to pursue the visions and the goals that God has called me to. And all of that came out of the death of my daughter. I did my dissertation on post-traumatic growth in African-American mothers who lost children. And that began to turn the wheels inside of me, because during my research, I discovered that particularly in our African-American communities, we get stuck just dealing with the grief, or we just get stuck dealing with the trauma. We get stuck with the negativities, and nobody is empowering women and people across all walks of life to understand that even though the trauma was devastating and it knocked the breath out of you and the life out of you, but it also was a changing force to bring you into your destiny and to give you a fresh outlook on life. I'm no longer the same person. Yes, I still cry. I still have my broken moments. I still go through, the grief process. But however, I can look at it as from a positive light, because out of that broken space, it built character, it built resilience, it taught me strength, and it gave me a new determination to speak to the multitudes of other people who are still in that shattered place. So that's my passion. That's my purpose in life at this juncture of my life, is to let people know, yes, it was devastating. Yes, it was hard. Yes, you felt like giving up, and yes, you saw no good in it. But when you stop and you think about it, and you really take a close look, or in a reflection on where you are now, you will quickly realize, I'm not that same person. I'm not that same lady. I'm not that same woman. I got a new awareness to move forth in life. And that's what trauma can do for you. I'm not promoting that trauma is a good thing, that it's a healthy thing. I'm not dismissing that it's painful, but after you go through that traumatic place, you don't have to stay there. You can get up. You're more resilient. You're more powerful than you think you are. You can get up from that, and you can have a good quality of life. My daughter transitioned in 2012. My son just transitioned in September of 2021. As a mother, as a human being, yes, I'm devastated, but I'm going to give glory to God, and I'm going to help somebody else to know that after that, you can live. And as a woman of God, I believe God. I believe that I will see my children again. I believe that earth has no sorrow, that heaven cannot heal. That's my belief system. And I believe that Romans 8:18 says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory. So I'm looking for the glory, even though my children transition and I'll see them in glory. Thank you, Jesus. I'm looking for the glory on this side of the world, that God wants to use me to help other people to live. And I know I'm talking a lot.
Woo. That is so good. That is so good. And, it's really powerful when you can attach purpose to your pain. Yes. And that's what I hear. That's what I sense. The passion to help other people to know, no, we're not promoting trauma. We're not saying that trauma is good. I love the way that you framed that. But what we are saying is that you can move on from your trauma. You don't have to stay stuck. And I love that. And I just appreciate that about you. And one of the things that I always say is resilience is in our DNA. And you talk a lot about resilience. Share with the audience, from your vantage point, what is resilience? How do I tap into resilience? If I'm listening to you, I say, I want to overcome. I want to move forward from this stuck place, this pain. But how do I come into my resilience?
Well, I'm a woman of God, so I speak from a spiritual perspective, because I believe that my resilience and my strength comes straight from God. And I will say this, if you would allow me. When my son was transitioning, the day that I did a wellness check, and the police went up to do the check, I already knew that my son had transitioned. So as I turned to walk towards the door, the Lord spoke these words to me. He said, "I'll give you strength for the journey." And so I believe that my inner strength has come from God. And it didn't just start on that day. It started years, from my mother's womb. I believe, as Dr. Nicole said, that resilience is innate. Resilience is the ability to bounce back. And I think part of that, Dr. Mason, is how you think. As a man thinketh in his mind, so if he. So in the midst of going through what I've had to go through, I've hit in those down moments, I pull from God first. And then I pull from my inner strength. And then I talk to myself. Yes, I talk to my own self. And I have to tell myself, self, you're gonna get up from this, you're gonna live. I'm gonna live and not die. I'm going to complete my destiny. I'm going to trust God. So a lot of resilience is tied to faith, in my opinion. You got to attach that resilience to faith, because it's like the little weeble wobble. If you remember that, I'm dating myself. But if you knock that down, it would go almost to the ground. But just when it was about to hit that ground, it would bounce back up. And so that's how I see myself. I see myself as that little weeble wobble. And I would encourage others to think of themselves as the weeble wobble, or get a picture in your mind of something that you can gain strength from in those times when you feel like giving up. I'm not sitting here and saying to anybody that every day I get up and, I feel like going on, and I feel like, being the great Pat Ross or great Dr. Ross. There are days when I have to get in the mirror and literally talk to myself and tell myself, nay, in all these things, I am more than a conqueror. Or if you don't want to put it in the Christian vernacular, you just tell yourself, hey, girl, you are a survivor. Hey, man, you are a survivor. However you choose to empower yourself, you have to pre-plan how you're going to deal with those days of defeat. You can't wait till that day get there. You got to already have it set in your mind. Hey, I am a survivor. You need to begin to speak life into your own self when you're brushing your teeth, or when you're standing in the mirror, when you're driving your car. You have to speak life to those dead situations. It might be dead right now, but you got to speak life into it. Say, after this, I'm going to get up. When I was crying and broken and standing over caskets, I was telling myself, you're going to survive this, because God's got a greater purpose. You got to live, because you got to send that rope, throw that rope and help somebody else catch on, and they got to live. So resilience is innate. It's already in there. You just have to pull it. And I think sometimes we've been so broken by life, you get stuck in those negative patterns. But you got to begin to give yourself permission to get up, start over, even though, you failed at some things. Admit your failure. Yeah, I failed. Yes, I procrastinated. Yes, I self-sabotage. But that was yesterday. Forgetting those things which are behind. You're in a new day, new time, and you have to make up your mind. Like I made up my mind. I'm not going to just exist through life. I'm going to live life to its fullest. And I think it's all about talking to yourself. It's all about, pre-planning what you're going to do, get your goals, your visions, put those things in place, communicate, get healthy communication on board. And not only with yourself and God, but get healthy communication on with the right people. You have to have the right people speaking to you and your situation. You have to develop healthy relationships, because that's what's going to help to hold your arms up. In those days when you want to just let yourself go, throw in the towel, you got to have somebody call you and say, like Dr. Mason, she called me, okay, get up. This is what we're going to do. Let's do this thing. You got to have somebody who you trust enough to speak into your life when you can't speak for yourself.
That's so good. That is so good. That is so good. And, I tell you, you have done just that, founding the Destiny World Changers Incorporated and the Destiny World Changers Hope Center in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C. You've had some major collaborations with W.C. Smith Corporation, Safeway, Capital Food Bank, Catherine's Closet, and other private donors to serve thousands of people weekly with food distribution services. And all of these different things that you've done. You created the LaShawn Ross Food Pantry, named after your daughter, which is an entity of the Destiny World Changes, which provides food for families during this season, Thanksgiving season, and all of these different things. You've had food distribution to Jamaica and hundreds of individuals in the Hispanic community. I mean, all of these different things that you have taken the pain and really made it purposeful. And so talk a little bit about Destiny World Changers, your LaShawn Ross Food Pantry, who I went to high school with, and was just a beautiful soul, just like you, just like her mom, beautiful soul. So talk about this great work that you do in terms of outreach.
Well, Destiny World Changes is just that. It's a program that's designed to reach the disenfranchised communities. I am an advocate for the underdog. I am extremely passionate about empowering women. I have worked with women that sleep on benches, sleeping under the bridge. That's just who God called me to, that's the population that God called me to in part. And so all that we do under the umbrella of Destiny World Changers is designed to empower women. We've held retreats, we've held conferences. I've gotten, just all types of individuals that are homeless. I work professionally for House of Roof for over 12 years. And, even though it was a professional job, it still was in line with my vision to empower women. I've worked with re-entry persons, re-entering society from being incarcerated. And so that's all that falls under the umbrella of the vision that I have for just being an advocate for God's people. And so that's what Destiny World Changers is designed to do. We also host a annual, this is the 15th year, couldn't have it last year due to the pandemic, but this is the 15th year that we host an annual Mother's Day luncheon at the wonderful Camelot. And that was birthed out of Destiny World Changers and my vision to bring women who had never gone to anything formal or to a restaurant or those type of things. And so we sponsored tables of women, 30 women. We dressed them, got clothes together. We bought the tickets for them to come. And it was just life-changing to see individuals who had never been privy to go to any place, just for fine dining. And if anyone ever been to any of our teas, we go all out, we hats and, we dress up. And when we brought those individuals in, we started with women, and the women talked so much about it that they went back and told the men. And so we started bringing the men from the community to that event. And so it was just life-changing to see those individuals begin to transform their mind when they'd been so beaten down. Many of them were struggling with addiction. We had a small little space over where I would distribute food. And it was just wonderful to see individuals come in that were unchurched. And when they were in crises, they would come in and they would say, Pastor Ross, I need prayer. And we would just take them in a corner sometimes or find a space and just, lead them to Christ, empower them. And, it was just, you knew it was the hand of the Lord, because these were individuals that had never been to church. They had alcohol on their breath. Some had just finished using drugs, and the respect that the Lord allowed them to afford me had to be divine. And as you know, now the crime has spiked so heavily in that particular area. But I can tell you with an assurance, from the police department to all of the affiliates over there, we would shut down the street for food distribution, and they would monitor. They didn't allow anyone to come that they knew that didn't mean us any good to come near. And so it was protecting with all of the drive-bys and the murders that took place and things like that. The Lord just graced us to be right in the middle of it. And be able to be a blessing to the people. So that's what Destiny World Changers is basically all about. It's empowerment. In a short statement, it's empowerment. It's now teaching people post-traumatic growth. That is my passion. That is my baby. That is what I feel in this season that God is calling me to. So you all will hear more about that, in the coming months and weeks. We're going to be talking a lot about that, because post-traumatic growth is nothing but teaching people how to turn that pain into purpose. I like the way Dr. Nicole put that, turn that pain into purpose, because after your pain, there is purpose. Whether you tap into it, whether you choose to follow it, whether you allow it to be birthed out of everything that you've been through, something great and good can come out of it. Yes, the death of a child. Yes, standing over a casting. Yes, going to the jail. Like I said, I am the poster child for trauma. I've dealt with children with drug addiction, my own personal children. I've taken them to the hospital. I've driven, laying hands and binding the enemy over them. So I know what it is to have a child that's strung out on drugs. I know what it is to have a child with mental health issues. I know what it is to deal with behavior issues and all of those type of things as parents. And so my quest is to give back and to help another mother to be able to stand, because it is a hard process to stand in the midst of that adversity. And I want them to come out of shame and to stop feeling like, it's just my child. Where did I go wrong? You didn't go wrong. You did the best that you could do. And like us, and our mistakes and shortcomings, our children have to walk their journey. But I encourage all mothers, all parents to never give up on your children. And so that is part of that post-traumatic growth, because if I can get adults and individuals to understand that in the midst of the suffering, that you can turn that around, and that you can bring good out of it, and you can be a better person, you can be a better parent, you can be a better entrepreneur, you can be a better executive once you grasp that out of what you've been through. Once you grasp that does not have to hold you hostage, that you can get up from that state and you can use it in your business, you can use it, in your ministry, you can use it wherever, but you've got to grasp that and move forward, move past it.
That is so good. That is so good. And I know that's right. I know that's right. And I know that, many people listening are being blessed by what you have to say, particularly when your heart is heavy related to anything that you've gone through that's been a trauma. And you mentioned about parents and their children, that can really be, a heaviness that people carry. And really having someone like yourself to work with. And so I really want you to tell people how they can get in contact with you, if they say, I need to hire, a coach to help me navigate this space. And I know that you've been coaching people, helping them to get from pain to purpose. So how can people reach you?
I'm going to provide my Facebook. You can reach me, inbox me on my Facebook, which is Elder Patricia Ross, ROSS, or you can reach me via my email, which is Lady, LADY, ROSS71@gmail.com. That's Lady, ROSS71@gmail.com. We are in the process of getting revamping the website. So Dr. Nicole will share that information with you once it's available. We are just revamping some things. As I said, my son just transitioned in September, so I had to just shut it down, psychologically for a minute, but I'm back. I'm back, I'm thriving, I'm ready to go. And so we're putting those things in place now.
Amen. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty and the transparency. And I'm really looking forward to this rebrand, because that's what it is when you talked about being new, being different after trauma. And so our time is up. I can't believe it. When we have these powerful conversations, the time goes by so quickly. But I want to thank you, Dr. Ross, for being with us as our guest. And I want to thank you all for joining this episode of the Nicole Mason Show. Join us for our next episode of the Nicole Mason Show.